Hey guys, it's Lawrence here. I hope everyone's doing okay given the current coronavirus crisis that we're dealing with worldwide. It's not an easy time for anybody, so I hope everyone's doing okay. Today I thought I'd do a short video answering some questions that you guys have asked me on YouTube, mainly on my Cliffs of Dover video, but also on a couple of my other videos as well. So the main question, or one of the main questions I've been asked, is about the model of guitar that I was playing. So that guitar, I still have it, is a Japanese 1954 Strat, made in 2010 or 11, around about then. And I've still got it. It's changed quite a bit, but back then it was strung with Ernie Ball 10 gauge. So the green packet, but now I use Elixir 10 gauge from 10 to 46. So it's the same gauge, but just because I'm playing a lot more, I kind of need to save the life of the strings as much as I can. The pickups that were in it for that video, this is another thing I've been asked about quite a lot. So the neck and middle were stock, but I didn't actually use either of them in the video. Now I think by that time I'd put an HS2 in the bridge position and wired the second tone control to that pickup to just roll back the tone a little bit, just to kind of make it a bit fatter. Now I've gone all out and got the Eric Johnson signature pickups in it, in addition to changing the neck to a 12-inch radius with 22 frets rather than 21, so it's just that little bit extra, so you've got that that extra note, and it's a bit easier to play because of the flatter radius. So the next question that I've been asked about is what pedals was I using? So in that video it went from the guitar. Now the first pedal that it hit was a Way Huge Green Rhino. So this is modelled off the famous green box that pretty much every guitarist owns at some point. And that was set fairly clean, like the drive wasn't too high. It doesn't really have a clean blend like the original Green Overdrive does. So even with the drive up to about midday, it would still be fairly clean, and then towards the end of that drive control you'd get quite a lot of overdrive piling on. But basically I set it so that it was kind of like a slightly dirty mid boost. So the output level was kind of close to unity, not really outputting a load of boost. And the drive was just kind of rounding out the pick attack a little bit. And then the tone control was rolled back a bit to get it kind of dark like Eric. So the next pedal that it was hitting kind of interacted with that. So I had a JHS Charlie Brown, which was the version 4, which has the 3-band EQ. And that, again, it was quite low gain. So this would do JTM 45 and then a little bit further than what a JTM 45 would do. But it did sit really nicely for that kind of dirty rhythm tone. So I'd set that up to do the kind of dirty rhythm tone, kind of like Eric would do. And then for the lead stuff, I'd put in the mid boost to help it kind of cut through and still sound really fat. Which would be, in this case, the Way Huge Green Rhino. I now use a different set of pedals. They're on the floor in front of me. I'm going to save that for another video, but I still get some pretty similar sounds. So I'll kind of walk you through the various methods to do that and show you how I do it. And then finally, on the pedal board, there was a Boss DD500, which is the kind of the Boss answer to the Strymon Timeline. So I bought that when it had just come out. And I found online there was a Echoplex EP3 preset, or someone had made, and it sounded pretty good. So I started with that and then just tweaked it to a point where I was happy with it. Again, I don't use that pedal now. I've got a different way of doing it, but the idea is very much the same. So then it hit the amp, So in this case, it was a Marshall DSL 40C, and it was actually a really versatile amp. So you have 4 channels. You can only use 2, but there's 4 options of sound. So on the clean channel, you have a proper clean channel, and then if you push the button in, it activates the crunch mode. So depending on how I was running the amp, I would use one of those 2 modes. The other 2 modes were OD1 and OD2. Now they were a lot more gain, which, given that I like to get a good amount of gain from my pedals into a fairly clean amp for most sounds, I didn't really use that too much. So I had that, and for the video, it was just a completely clean kind of pedal platform. With the gain was up fairly high to give a good amount of preamp signal, but it still wasn't overdriving from the actual amp itself. And then the volume was up loud enough, but not so loud that it would start causing horrible resonances in the room. So the amp does have an effects loop, but I wasn't using the effects loop because it was a completely clean front end. If I used the crunch channel, depending on how much, so that's still the green channel but with the button pushed in, depending on how much gain I had, I would then use the effects loop if there was too much gain, so the delay started compressing and then overtaking the dry signal. So that was the amp, but then the speaker in my amp was modded to being a Creamback Celestion 65 watt speaker, which kind of smoothed out the harshness of the Celestion 7080 that the Marshall came with. A lot of people put vintage 30s in it. I just preferred the sound of the Greenback. And then that was hitting, it was actually hitting, don't know if I've still got it, this Rode M3 mic, which was actually the only mic that I had at the time. And it was about a foot away from the speaker, so it was getting quite a lot of room sound, which obviously smoothens out the attack. So for some sounds that might be too smooth, for some sounds it might be just right or whatever. But ultimately it's what you like. And then after that, the mic signal was hitting Logic. Now, in Logic, I added it was either a plate reverb or a hall reverb. I can't remember for the life of me now, because this was like 4 years ago. And yeah, so that was basically the tone. So how did I practice it? I can't read music, so I'm basically all by ear. I know some theory, and I use that where I can, and where I can make sense of using it. But I play a lot from ear. Now there's a couple of people that have pointed out that a couple of notes are wrong. Yep, a couple of notes are wrong, but it was kind of as close as I could get at the time. But on further listens, I've noticed that, you know, there's the odd note here and there that rather than a E, it should be a D or whatever. But that's exactly, they're exactly right. So how did I practice it? I broke it down into sections. So the beginning section was obviously really tricky to start with because there's a really fast run. The best thing I think people can do is break it down into chunks that are manageable. So do 4 notes at a time and then another 4 notes at a time, glue that together, and then you've got an 8-note chunk. And that seems to be the way that works best for me when I'm learning how to do, you know, a fast like Bonamassa run or whatever. I didn't actually do it all in one take. The Cliffs of Dover video is 4 different videos kind of cut together, so it's 4 takes and then the best bits. So again, if you try and just play something from start to finish, having never played it ever in your life before, that's going to be really tricky. And then if you practice the whole thing from beginning to end, it's a lot more information to remember, you know, in one go. Whereas if you, as I say, break it down. So once you've, say you do that with those 8 notes, and then it's 16 notes, and then it's 32 notes. So that's quite sizable chunks that have all been kind of built up in little steps. And then you can treat the song like that. So you can do the intro. Once you've done the intro, great, you can do the intro. Then you do the verse. If the verse is really easy, that's still a bit that you've got to learn. And then, you know, so some of the harder bits will take more time. But if you kind of focus on those bits and then gradually make them larger and larger segments, that will probably be the most effective way to learn it. But I'll do another video on this. So yeah, so thanks very much for watching. If you haven't checked out my Cliffs of Dover video, I would absolutely love it if you did. And you're very welcome to post more comments or questions on there, and I will do my best to answer them. Hope everyone's alright. Have a good rest of your week. Hopefully we'll be out of this quarantine soon. See you later.